Okay.
Okay, welcome to the Success versus Burnout Summit. I'm your host, Katie Cannon, and I have a special treat. We have an amazing expert for you, and I feel like I'm interviewing a celebrity. She's going to laugh. So, Carlo, welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you on our summit. So, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you. Now, I'm going to reel off. Now, I've written down all of Mar's accomplishments, and I'm going to have to read them because there's so many. So Mar is a health professional, a founder of a parental education business, a model, a dancer, an author, and a mum to two amazing children who are, her girl is 13 and her little boy is 8. So, you know, just being a mum and dealing with that is like an amazing full-time job in itself. So thank you so much for carving out the time, Mar, and joining us on the summit. So I want to start with a question. Now, Mar's subject today is she's going to be covering top 5 secrets to master health and wealth. But before we start, and I know it's a question that our community is definitely going to be thinking, and if I'm honest, when I was so excited that you were going to be joining us, I was intrigued to know, and I read, and then I looked at your website and see everything that you've done. Share a little bit of your story on how you've gone from a health professional to founder of a parental education business, because they're very different businesses, but also juggling it all. So share some wisdom with us, Mar.
Sure. I will tell you, I feel very blessed and grateful that through the struggles that life had put me through to get to where I am today, because it was through the struggles that actually got me to where I am today. And often for many of us, that's the case, that I was open. That rather than falling into, which many people do, the feeling bad for yourself and complaining and, oh, woe is me kind of thing, I had to really get to a place very quickly, because at the time I had a very young girl to take care of, where it was not about feeling sorry for myself or limiting myself any longer. It was really about, what can I do to survive? What can I do to contribute? What can I do to take care of this girl? And so what had happened is I had already been in the health and fitness industry for a while. I had worked as a personal trainer, group exercise instructor. I also managed a group exercise department and personal training department and worked for a corporation. I had a lot of experience both in the coaching field as well as the business and management field. And I unexpectedly became pregnant. Shortly after birth, I'm just kind of getting it all quickly out to you because I know we're short on time. Shortly after my birth, within a year and a half or so, I became a single mother, and I found myself in a position where where I moved, I didn't have any family or friends close by. The business model that I had while taking care of my daughter was not easy to do. And so I thought about returning back to management, returning back to, full-time training or managing and kind of going in that direction. But something inside of me said, no, that's not the way. You have a little girl, you're a first-time mom, you're on your own, you don't have family or friends. At the time, her dad was not around. And something in me said, that's not the way. People around me, including family and friends, were saying, Mar, just do what's right. You have to do the typical way, which is just taking the job, getting a nanny for your daughter, and so on. But something in me said no. And thankfully, I listened to that voice. And while my savings, because at the time I was living off some savings as I was contemplating what to do next, my bank account kept going down and down and down and down and down. It was getting to a point where I did not know how I was going to pay rent the following month or what I was going to do. And something in me said, hold on, right? There's something more here for you. Be strong. And so I remember specifically walking with my daughter. It took about 3 days where we would walk during her naps, and I would take her in the stroller, and I would just continue to say to myself, where there's a challenge, there's an opportunity. Where there's a will, there's a way. This is an opportunity for you. And so anyway, after the 3rd day, I just decided, I still didn't have an answer, to reach out to my community of clients and friends and family, and let them know,
and
hey, everyone.
Mark, you've got a big network now. Did you have quite a big network at that point?
Not as big as now. I was not in 46 countries. I had a very small network of just basically the clients that I had worked with on the East Coast, and some that I had worked with in California and a little bit in Hawaii. Those were 3 locations I was at. And I was doing one-on-one consulting. So I did not have a global outreach at this point. I just had little, bits here and there. And I was working one-on-one coaching, okay? And then for other companies. And so what ended up happening was that I reached out to my community. Something in me said, just reach out to them because you don't have the answers, but perhaps just sharing with people an idea of supporting you would bring up some options. And so I wrote to my community, said, hey, everyone, I have this really great business. I also need to take care of my daughter. I'm looking for someone to either take over my consulting business temporarily, right? And I would get a cut for that to give them my clientele and so on. Or someone could just completely take over, right? And I would earn some money and we would work it out or something like that. I just had these like smaller ideas. And then interestingly enough, I had 3 women write me back and say to me, well, we're not really interested. And they did it in their own way. It was kind of like the same theme that I said, wait, what's going on here? Said, I would love to learn from you and how you started your business and what you're doing. We've been following some of your videos, we've been following some of your things, and we really would want to know how you started your business and what you're doing.
Amazing.
And that is when I had this aha moment and saying, oh my gosh, I can make a world of a difference and expand my outreach and make, things even to a much more impactful degree if I train other people to do what I'm doing. And because I had the management background that I did, and I worked for corporate and all of that, I already had, the understanding of how programming works and team management works and developing curriculums work and developing instruction manuals and guidelines and all of that. So little did I know that all of that experience would come full circle and support me now in this process. So immediately, okay, not having done this before, meaning this is a new path for me, I said, yes. I said, of course I will. Absolutely, I will be happy to support you. And that is when I decided, I just went and I committed. First, I started working on a book because I knew, and that was my book called The Baby Planner Profession, What You Need to Know. And I knew that if I put a book out there, the book would really set a standard and a foundation for my thoughts and for people to really understand my value and what I'm offering, and understand that if they were to join my training program, they would get a lot out of it, right? I wasn't just talking, from my head, like they really would understand that I have
some more caliber. Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I just started working on the program. So I used and worked with these women together to not only support them on their path towards success, but then also to use it as a foundation to begin building my program. And then something interesting happened is, as I just jumped into that journey and I started giving it my all, I started finding my way around balancing my time and energy with my daughter. Like when she would take naps, I'd be working, or when she would sleep at night, I'd be working a little bit, and so on. And then I would start to notice that more and more people took a hold and took interest. And what I will tell you is the concept that I had for what I was offering was very new. So baby planning as a profession is something that launched very shortly after I got involved. I would say within 6 months or 7 months. It was really an unheard of concept. And so many people around me were saying, I don't know that that's going to take off because this is a new concept. It's not really out there. Who's going to purchase this? Who's going to want to train for this? And I decided to ignore all of that. I saw the need, I understood the value, and I just went for it. And at the same time, keep in mind that my drive and motivation was also because I had this beautiful little girl who's now 13, who life gave me as a tremendous gift to take care of. I didn't plan on having children. I didn't plan on going down the parenting route. And life gave me this gift. And I said, all right, thank you. I get it. I'm going to jump in and commit and give this my all. And so wrapping this up, because I know you have some additional questions, is that, it took a few years because as I am so passionate about health, it took a few years getting so involved and then producing and creating other programs for me to go through the experience of overworking and burning out and finding my boundaries and finding my balance, finally where I got to a point today where I can say, okay, I'm still human. I have my days. So nobody's perfect, but I have gotten to a place of that I would say harmony. I feel that now I am the healthiest I've ever felt. Even my own daughter says, Mom, seeing my transition into, I'm going to be 46 in 2 weeks, and seeing my transition from 10 years ago till now, physically, as well as emotionally, mentally, is a huge difference. And I've actually been aging much, much better. You know, people consider aging, you decrease in energy, you decrease in looks. For me, it's been the opposite experience. And I owe that to, paying attention to my self-care, which is our topic.
Amazing. And you look sensational. And I really recommend everyone go and check out Mar's profile on Instagram, because like you said, you're 46. In your pictures, you look like you're 26.
Oh, you're sweet.
You know, you look sensational in your pictures. Absolutely. And that's one thing that I've struggled with a bit, having children and being an entrepreneur, is juggling, finding me again. And absolutely, you know, sometimes when you look back, obviously I've got a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old, especially after I had going from 1 to 2 children, juggling that, finding my time as well as building a business, but also finding yourself again. Yes. And just, you know, you sometimes look back at pictures of before children, like, oh my gosh, I feel like a different person. I feel like a different person in my head, and how far I've come and how far I've learned. But physically wanting to get back to where you are and where you want to go. So, So thank you so much, Mar, for sharing your journey. You've got so much drive and so much ambition, and you naturally are very entrepreneurial, and, you know, think on your feet and think, don't follow the grind, don't follow the route. Don't turn right like everybody else is doing. Turn left, and you're going to get a slightly different path and be able to really manage your own schedule and build the life that you desire, you know? So thank you so much for sharing that. So we've got some amazing 5 secrets to master health and wealth. So get your pens and paper ready. So the first one, Mar's going to talk about, and that is mastering your schedule and really becoming a master of time management.
Yes. This is huge, because most times what I hear from people when we start talking about self-care is, I don't have time. I don't have time.
I've said this. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, we all have, right? I don't have time. But when you begin to observe and evaluate much more closely your time, you begin to find out that there is a lot of time that you're contributing to other things or to people that are draining your energy and not benefiting you. And you got to keep something in mind, and all of these tips will, you know, flow into one another, is that everything is an extension of you. Everyone and everything is an extension of you, okay? And so you can't give what you don't have. And so if your expectation is, I'm going to put more time and more energy into my work, but at the same time that you're doing that, your battery is running super, super, super low, how can you expect to give more time and more energy when you haven't refueled yourself? You can't. It's the same with motherhood, okay? In my situation, I learned very quickly that if I lack passion, if I lack joy, if I disconnect from the things that make me happy, a lot of times we think, oh, we're a parent now, so we got to sacrifice our dreams for our kids. But you know what happens is we're our role models for our children. It's not what we say to them most times, it's how we're living and what we're doing. When I'm happy, my children are happy. When they see mom's in a good mood, they're in a good mood. That's one of the reasons why I have kept up with my arts, whether it's dancing or painting or whatever I'm involved in. I recognize that if I spend my time, I have to be very highly selective. This is what I encourage all of you, be highly selective with your time. Your time is money. Your time is energy. Everything that you're giving your time to is either giving you energy or decreasing and draining your energy. So it's important to start observing, what am I spending time on? Like, especially now with social media, a lot of people have been home because of COVID and the lockdowns. People have the option to take that time and be super duper 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 creative and think outside the box and do all of these things. Or they can sit in front of a screen all day, and just, complain and this and the next, right? And get involved, in fighting and who's on whose side. And of course, there's a balance to it also. I'm not saying don't go on social media. I go on social media, and it is important to
have a limit each day.
Yeah, but recognize, be highly selective. Okay, I'm going to have a conversation on social media. I'm going to give a little bit of time, etc. But I know that if I spend too much time, that's actually going to drain my battery. But if I give more of my time in taking care of my health, in taking care of, my creativity, my passions, that's going to give me even more. And when I give myself more, I can give more. So your time, be very highly selective with your time.
Perfect. And I like the fact that you said people, given time to people. Spend time with either people. Are the people you're hanging around with, are they a radiator or a drain? When you walk into the room, do they light you up, or do they like all the people, sometimes you just meet people and you don't connect. Like, I knew straight away when we started chatting that I could talk to you for about 3 hours if we had the time for, because you light me up. I almost oh my gosh, this is amazing, because your energy and vibe jumps through the screen. Some people or they're just moaning constantly, or just going through the same things, so I like the fact that you mentioned people in there. So
and I want to add one thing for that too, just because it's like what you said is this is golden. And I'm sure you can relate, and all your viewers can relate in some form or fashion. Those of us that coach, those of us that have businesses, those of us that want to help, we love to give. We love to give. It's in my nature. Since I was a little girl, I saw someone hurt. I want to be there for people. Okay. I just love it. I don't know. I can't explain how are you that way? It is what it is. I accept it. But what I've learned, and this is with time management and people, very important, which is an extension of this tip. Recognize, be very highly selective with your time. And sometimes we want to help people that don't want to help themselves. It's usually the people that are the most complaining, the most, that are down on themselves the most, that are victims of their circumstances, that, just go around in this loop over and over and over. And you find yourself feeling for them, empathizing for them, wanting to help them, giving them everything. And yet, no matter how much you give, that person still remains the same.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because you're not in control of someone else's journey. You're not in control of whether someone is open to change or committing to change. You're only in control of what you give. And so be very highly selective with who you give your information to, because when you give your information to people that are open, that are ready to receive you, that value you, guess what? You're going to get energy back from them too. They're going to appreciate you. You're going to feel that coming back, that will fuel you. But if you exhaust yourself with people that you're just trying to help, and they're not open to change, you've drained all your energy, and they're also not giving anything back.
Yeah, 100%. And I can name a few people that you've worked with I've worked with in different things, and just staff in my gyms as well, not just like you just think drain, and you think, oh my goodness, and you come away and you think, I didn't enjoy chatting to that person, you just think they're just draining me. So that brings us nicely on to talking, obviously you talk about extension of you, and you kind of brought in your energy. There, do you want to touch on any more? Obviously we talked about number one was your time management, energy. Any more you want to add to energy?
Okay, emotions are our best friend, and often we're afraid of emotions that feel uncomfortable. We embrace and accept happy, joyful, but when we feel frustration, when we feel sadness, when we feel, anger, whatever it is, usually there's a resistance toward it, and there's a judgment toward it, and as a result, we fight with it, and it increases. Okay, you actually see it more exacerbated. Emotions are just a tool of communication to tell us what's going on within us. Okay, it's just a form, it's a way of saying, hey, that situation, that person, whatever it is that came your way, if you're feeling unhappy about it, frustrated about it, why is that? It's just a way of you being able to gauge yourself, to learn from the situation, to see what you can improve upon. It's not that there's something wrong with you. And the more you can embrace every single emotion, the more comfortable you are with the uncomfortable emotions. They'll become comfortable over time, but then you'll learn that they're your best friend. When I have sadness, my sadness is speaking something to me. And when I'm not fighting it, it's not draining my energy. If anything, the emotions, and emotion is energy in motion. If
Mhm.
we resist emotion,
I love
we resist,
that one.
yeah, we resist energy. When
Mm.
we resist energy, we block energy. It takes a lot of our energy to resist something, which will then drain us.
Mm.
But if you allow yourself to be open and you say, you know what, yes, this feels uncomfortable, but I'm going to be brave enough and I'm going to work with myself enough to learn how to embrace these uncomfortable emotions,
Mm.
you're going to start to see that they're going to move through you. You're going to learn from them. They're going to move through you. They're going to release quicker from you, and you're going to have much more energy as a result flowing through you.
Yeah.
It's like a weight being lifted off.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked, because one of our experts is an intuitive life coach, and she did a training on just letting go and letting
Yes.
it come to you. And we talked about the word pushing. You know, when we've all wanted something so bad, like, and I've said it to my mentors over the years, of, I'm pushing for it, we're going for it, you know, and using language of resistance rather than letting it come to you. And since I've really embraced that, and I think that's part of my being a gymnast as well, that language, and we're going for it and working as hard as we possibly can, and you know, absolutely exhausting ourselves in the process, but taking out that language and letting it just flow a little bit more. So
Exactly.
let's move on, Mar, to talking about self-value and self-worth.
Yes. Well, this is a big part of it. If you do not believe in yourself, if you do not feel your worth, everything, you're not going to want to manage your time. You're not going to want to take care of yourself. It really all begins with how you feel about yourself and how you look at yourself. I want you all to keep this in mind, because one of the things that comes up a lot in my coaching is the competition piece. Oh, you know, so-and-so is offering something similar to me, the same program or the same kind of coaching.
Yep, I have that too. I think we all have that.
Right? We all. Here's the thing. No one, we're all unique.
Mm-hmm.
No one can be you. Yep. You can both talk about the same exact topic, use the same exact words even. I'm not saying to plagiarize, okay? So I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just giving you an example, an extreme example, that you can literally talk the same words, but the way it's gonna come out, the way you express it, the tone of voice will be unique to you. So each and every one of you have a gift to contribute. Many of you have been taught to follow everybody else, to conform to society's standards, to conform to what they say you should fit into, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, you know, where your limitation is, you know, how far you can go in life. The successful people and the people that really just go above and beyond, like, wow, how did they get to that point? Are people that really began to connect within their value and understand nothing can limit me. No one can limit me. I'm worth it. Everything I have to contribute and offer is valuable, and it means something. And when you start to recognize that, you're going to care for yourself. The moment you realize, wow, and you know, here, I'll say something. Yes, you will have the haters. You will have people that will criticize and put you down. Ignore it. They're not your people. At the same time, there's those people, there's a whole wealth of people that love you, that appreciate you, that are grateful for you. That's the energy you want to maintain and hold. And the more, and don't even worry about any of it actually, the more you feed your value and you understand, because don't confuse, especially for women, I have to say, please don't confuse being egotistical and narcissism with self-value. Egotistic and narcissism have to do with I'm better than you and comparison. Okay, so that's a negative thing you could say. But when you value yourself as a unique person and you love yourself and you shine and you put that out there and you have that great confidence, that's not being egotistical or narcissistic. That's actually setting an example for everyone else to do the same for themselves. There's no comparison. There's no feeling of I'm better than you. It's just saying, hey, I'm going to shine to my fullest and you can too, and we can celebrate each other. So when you connect with your value, that's when you're going to say, gosh, I got to be selective with my time. I got to take care of myself. I recognize that the more I give to me, the more I can give to other people. And you'll start to make all these decisions much clearer and much easier when you value yourself.
I love that. I love that. That's so powerful. And you know, I was listening to a podcast earlier on this week, and they were saying just what you said about competition.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying how there's obviously everyone's doing coaching. There's so much of it online, but there's also billions of people online. And this particular podcast, they were talking, you know, she runs a multi-million-pound company. It's called I Heart My Life. I've actually done a few of their courses, which are fantastic. But she said, when I worked out how many people I actually worked with to create that kind of success, they've been running about 10 years. She said, I only actually worked with 500 people across the year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's billions of people out there to help. And, you know, like you just said, Mar, like, you know, there are, how many hairdressers can you think of just on the top of your head? There are hundreds of everything these days.
Yes.
But like you said, you will connect how you're doing it, your personality, your how you work with that particular person, your particular experience. You might have a coach that has exactly what you do, but they don't quite connect with them and want to work with them. So absolutely never think, oh, it's saturated, I don't want to do it, because the world is saturated with all sorts of things. Right. It's about really standing in your power and shining from, you know, with what you deliver best. So that's amazing, Mar. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit more. One of our last points on release, I think we said releasing physical tension, if I've got that right, and slowing down.
Yes, releasing physical tension and slowing down. Often we think that the harder we work and the more time we put in, the more we're going to
guilty.
Yeah. We're all guilty of it, right? We're all guilty of it. It's about working, and many of you probably have heard this too, smarter, not harder. It's about understanding that when, again, you use this word pushing against, when you're pushing, when you're climbing up high, trying to reach and push and push yourself to the extreme, there's a sense of tension and also a pushing against that then creates a certain amount of resistance and blocking. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a calm state, you have the ability to be more open and more relaxed. And when you're open and relaxed, you have the ability to receive more. Mm-hmm. As entrepreneurs, you want to give. It's like a cycle. You want to give and you want to receive. You don't want to give and push, and then block the amount that you receive back. Mm-hmm. You want it to flow very harmoniously, okay? So everyone has to find their own way about it. Each of us has our own rhythm. I would say everyone has their own rhythm of how to give and be open to receiving. When you are tense and frustrated, you can feel it. And even if you're around someone else that's tense and frustrated, it's not fun to be around that energy. And people usually don't receive. Like, here, I'll give you this example. If you are angry and tense and giving your message to people in a very angry, intense mood, which is different than passionate, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
People are less likely, they're going to be more irritated and usually annoyed by that. Like, like, who is this person? You know, the kind of the anger, the tension, versus someone that has the ability to feel soothing to them. Most people are already tense and frustrated. Most people are living a lifestyle in our modern day culture that's tense. You can give the gift.
And they don't even know they're tense.
Yes, exactly. And people usually don't know what it is, but when they are around you, if they can feel a sense of, even, I'll say this to you, I'm very outgoing, as you can tell. I'm full of energy, and I'm loud, and I'm very expressive. So I wouldn't be your typical, even though I can be when I teach my yoga classes, very calm and very quiet when I'm passionate in speaking. But I'm grounded, and I'm stable, and I'm confident, and I'm secure, and people feel that. And I'm full of energy, and people feel that, and I care, and people feel that. But if I'm angry and tense and pissed off at life, people feel that too.
Mm-hmm.
So people will be able to receive you much better when you have those qualities of openness and calmness and stability versus the tension. And when they're able to receive you, they're more likely to want to work with you and sign up for your programs or whatever it is that you're offering. When you thrive, your business thrives. And the way that you thrive is by keeping your body in a harmonious state. When your body is super tense and stressed, it's creating blockages, it's creating resistance, and it doesn't have the ability to allow in all the fruits, all the abundance that you can bring in.
Yeah, wonderful. And do you know what? I used to, especially since having children, talking about your meditation and your self-care and your exercise and having time for you, I always brushed it to the side. So I was quite good prior children, keeping up with it. But you almost want to have, your exercise and your self-care. That is a non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
That doesn't move. It doesn't move. Oh, I've got so much on today, so I'm just going to brush that off. I do it if I have time. It needs to be a solid, it's not going anywhere in your calendar. You've got to treat it like you're getting paid to exercise.
Yes.
Otherwise, and you've got to treat it as the priority that it is with the self-care and exercise and everything. Otherwise, I know I've been so guilty of it, and especially in lockdown with trying to have the kids. I mean, I literally got probably a 5-minute workout with Ashton climbing on my back when I was doing plank or press ups, but we got it done, know. It's just trying to make it work. Even if it's a minute or two, you do a couple of push-ups or a few star jumps, you've at least done something. Doesn't have to be this long old exercise that you're going to the gym for 3 hours for. So so yeah, absolutely. It's and finding, I like what you said about finding your rhythm.
Yes.
Because you can read all the personal development, as we all know, is so crucial. But what one book says might not be your rhythm. Or, if the book says get up at 5 a.m. every day and you've got a newborn baby, it's not going to work. So maybe find your rhythm slightly different. So that's something I've definitely learned over the years. So Ma, thank you so much. I know our community have got so much value. I've been taking lots of notes so I can put lots of summary points below our interview. So you have, I actually forgot to remind you about this at the beginning, but I'm sure you've got one ready, to share a free gift with our community that they can opt in and have get a little bit more information about what you do.
Sure. Well, I actually am going to be revamping one of my business programs. It's in a book, and I'm revamping it, and it's all around this whole entire, basically very similar to what we discussed today, but it's really about the value and the self-worth, and when you thrive, your business thrives. And so anyone that signs up, I will put you on the list, and when I get that out, you will all receive a free copy of that and what I have to offer. Because what I want to add with what you're saying in terms of the, finding the rhythm and all of these kinds of things, it's your care and your attention to yourself and staying connected to yourself is one of the greatest gifts. The best project you'll ever work on is you, because when you do, you can show up for everybody else in the most genuine way, the most energetic way, the most positive way. And so don't ever forget that. And don't ever forget that, every single thought that you have, every single observation is all learning. So don't be so hard on yourself. Like you were saying, if you can get 5 or 10 minutes of your workout in, laugh, have fun, do things that bring you joy. If working out is stressful for you, do a few minutes of it, or join a Zumba. But do things,
I love Zumba.
Do things that just bring you joy, that make you laugh. That is also a key. I used to have a program called Business Plan and Play, because the play piece, we didn't give that tip. That'll be when you all receive my free gift. You'll get this in there. The play piece is a big part of it too. I got so much to share. You'll get more.
Love it. Amazing. Well, anyway. I'm going to schedule in for about 5 more hours of interviews, Ma. So we're just scheduling.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ma. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you as a part of our summit. I know I said our community have had so much knowledge and tips. So all I say is watch this back. Like I say, at the end of all of our interviews, don't implement it all at once. Pick one thing that Ma's said and the one thing that resonated with you, and start to implementing it, because it's all about just taking little actions every day. So thank you so much, Ma. You have a great day. I said all the information you'll find at the bottom of our video, and you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next interview. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.